Geek Gamer Weekly is brought to you by Netflix Instant Streaming. Watch thousands of TV shows, episodes, movies, and more on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV absolutely instantly. All streamed to you by Netflix, saving you time, money, and hassle. For a free 30-day trial, please go to netflix.com/geekgamer. This is Geek Gamer Weekly, episode 244, recorded on Sunday, August 18th, 2013, making Dear Chili. Hey everybody, welcome again to another edition of Geek Gamer Weekly. This is the Uber podcast for geeks and gamers. Thanks for stopping by and joining us on this Sunday evening, August 18th. This is episode number 244. My name is Chase Nunes. I'm going to help orchestrate this awesome panel of technology and gaming experts. That's right. We scour the globe for the best, and we got them here today. Joining us, one of our top experts in the world of Eve. Here he is, folks, Mr. John Kessler. Hi, John. John.
Oh, are we live?
Wake up over there. Yes.
What?
Did you nod off again?
What?
Did you go to sleep again?
No. I didn't go to sleep.
Oh, okay. How are you?
Just ducky.
And what'd you do this weekend? Play a lot of Minecraft or Eve?
A little both.
A little both. What did you play more of?
Probably Minecraft.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Well, it's fantastic.
That's right. Also joining us this week from the confines of the beautiful state of Oregon, where it's much more sunnier down there than it is up here, Mr. Joseph Falby. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. It is more sunnier, yes.
More sunniest. Or sunniest? Or the sun is closer to the house down there than it is here?
It's sunning.
It's just
more
sunnier.
Joe's getting a tan.
Yeah. Yeah, right through the window blinds.
Yeah, that's right. And finally, our special guest this week from very far away, almost maybe 15 or 20 minutes away from my house, the CEO, COO, CTO of Jupiter Broadcasting and fellow co-host on the awesome show called Unfilter on that network, Mr. Chris Fisher. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Chase. Hello, crew. I'm just sitting here making some stew while we do today's episode. I'm going to make a big pot of deer chili. Yeah, deer chili today. So I'll be just working away at this while we talking about the tech news.
No, wait a minute. He's only 20 minutes away. He's only 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got to understand.
Yes.
I have
What?
a no pants policy on Sundays. So did you want me there? Did you want
Tell
me
you
there?
what,
'Cause I got...
you can come here and sit your no pants with Chase, and
I
I'll
think you
stay
should
home.
have been in the. I believe you should have been in the studio. I strongly believe that.
Well, yeah, I know that
Ooh.
Chase now has that air conditioning, so that might work pretty well with my no pants policy, actually.
Just
You'd be
wear
perfect.
Yeah, you could wear shorts.
No, Chase.
Well, maybe John. Wait, that's why John wanted you here, because he knew that you didn't wear pants. It's no pants Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not going to be summer for much longer, and in the winter...
Well, see, that
Yeah,
way
I
I
have
don't feel
shrinkage
so
to worry
awkward
about.
sitting on this side with no pants.
Well, I'm not wearing pants either. That's the problem. I'm not wearing any.
I think it's going to be a good show then.
I
All
think
right.
we're not wearing any pants. None of us are
So
wearing
sounds
pants.
like we
Joe,
got the
are you?
basics of a podcast worked out.
Joe, are you wearing pants?
Respectfully refrain from answering that question.
All right.
Making my stew. I'm making my stew.
All right. So, Apple has an announcement coming up here in a few weeks. No doubt to introduce the new iPhone, iOS 7 release date. I think was that on September 17th, if my memory serves me correctly. The chat room will probably
Isn't it September 10th?
10th.
10th. So
Yeah.
I'm
10th is the date that everyone believes that the date will be announced.
okay.
Everybody, Joe, everybody but Chase. Right?
Well,
Everybody but Chase.
I never believe anything until somebody's up on a stage announcing it. So,
Well,
but 10th
Mr.
is the
Cowram-
rumored
Mr.
date
J-
as to when
no.
the announcement will happen.
Mr. Jim Dalrymple of the Loop.com, whatever it is. He's got an inside track, and he yepped it. He gave it his yep approval, which is the stamp that it's going to happen. He doesn't yep it unless I think Tim Cook sends him a little iMessage saying, it's on, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, actually, I'm not even kidding. The press will book their flights if he yeps it. They'll book it, even if Apple hasn't said anything.
Is there an Apple refund policy for most airlines? Like, you book your tickets, and then unfortunately, if Apple decides, oh, we're not going to have an announcement on this day, you can get an unrestricted refund. Is that how it works?
I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I would be surprised.
All right. So what are your guys' predictions? We don't actually have an official story for this. We just, it leads me into my next thing. But I'm going to go to Joe first. He's our resident Apple shareholder.
Yeah.
He is a shareholder. Joe, what do you think? I would like to know what you think Apple is going to release, or at least announce to release on the 10th. Since you have some insight to how Apple works over there. What do you think?
Yeah, right. I have insight into how they work.
Come on.
It was Joe that bought coffee with Tim Cook a month ago, right?
That's
was
true.
Joe
that was Joe.
I'm a mighty powerful shareholder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, you own 0.000000000% of the company.
That would be zero.
One. I forgot the one. Sorry.
I'm actually not sure how much of the company it is. I know it's not very much.
Yeah.
Especially not after what's his name just bought $1 billion worth.
Which puts your shares to shame, by the way. But
you know what though? Hey, the stock jumped up as soon as he did it, and it's still going up. So I'm happy. He can. You know what? He should buy another $1 billion. Seriously.
When are you going to sell, Joe? What are you selling? Tell us out here on the show.
I don't know.
Put it on record.
I haven't decided.
Best time to sell is before an announcement. They always go down after an announcement. But if you're in the long haul, if you're in the long haul, then
I've been in it for the long haul. I've had it since I was in high school. I started with 12 shares when I was 18.
That was like 50 years ago.
At $12 at $12 a share. John, that was when I was 18, wasn't 50. That was you were 18. You were thinking anyway. I know you confuse other people's timelines with your own.
Half the thing.
So yeah, I started with 12 shares at $12 a share. It's split twice, and it's up to it closed at a little over $500 on Friday. So I think I'm okay. I'm thinking I'll probably sell if it gets back into the 650-ish range. I'll probably sell without too much concern. I missed it when it hit 700 last year. So I don't want to miss that
Joe,
again.
I know we're getting a little off base, but you think here, Joe, that they're never going to split ever?
No, I don't think the stock is going to split again. And the reason for that is they're already at a point where there is more outstanding, or there is more cash in hand. They've talked about borrowing against the cash they have overseas,
right?
Versus how much stock they have in worth. So if somebody were to try to lead a hostile takeover, not that there's really any company that can do it, because Apple's third biggest in the U.S. now.
Yeah.
It bounces between the top 3 every other month. It seems like, or most valuable. So, but if somebody were to try to hostile take over Apple, they actually would net a profit because they have so much cash on hand. So it's very unlikely that they're going to do another stock split, because that just increases dilutes the stock even more. They're more likely to buy more shares up, which would raise the price of the stock, and they're more likely to do more dividends going forward. Something that Steve Jobs was very much against. He did not like doing dividends.
So what's happening on the 10th?
Obviously doesn't have a problem.
What's happening
on the
10th?
I'm going to guess they'll probably, if it happens, which it sounds like everybody is reporting that it probably is, they're going to do an announcement. They'll probably do a full press thing where they do iOS 7, the final release. And my guess is they'll release it that day.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And the GM is supposed to be right around the corner as a limited release to partners and employees. And so I'm going to guess they're going to do iOS 7 that day.
Okay.
And they're probably going to announce the 5S, which is widely rumored, dual flash, faster CPU, stuff like that.
Yep.
And there's some potential, and the more I read about it, the more likely it seems they're going to release a low-cost iPhone to replace the 4S. And the reason for the low-cost iPhone is it'll get rid of all of the older size screens. So not everything will have the same size screen, the
old dock connector, I think, too, right? And it'll get rid of that dock connector.
It'll be the they still sell the iPad second gen non-retina iPad.
That's true.
And so that'll be the last device that still has an old style 30-pin dock connector. This would be totally ditching that old format. So that seems the most likely to me. A 5S and a new low-cost iPhone and iOS 7 seem like the three most likely. Outside chance, very, very outside chance of them announcing something else hardware-wise, whether that's a refreshed iPad or a refreshed iPad mini, but it seems really, really unlikely at this point.
Chris, do you agree there with Joe as far as what's going to happen on the 10th?
Well, the way Joe, yes, but if they leave it at just that, it sounds pretty boring to me. But I think likely they'll surprise us. If you remember back to the announcement when they released iOS 6, they talked a lot about iOS 6, a lot about the new features, and then, oh, by the way, here's the iPhone 4S or whatever it was, and it has Siri. Here's a complete feature that we never even told you about that we've been working on this entire time, integrated into the operating system. So there's still a chance for them to roll out some sort of crazy whiz-bang feature like that. Maybe it's mobile payments, maybe it's some sort of ID system. The thing that I'm the most interested in, and the thing I think that if Apple did it could actually be really a game changer, is the Authentic company that they bought, integrating in the fingerprint reader into the home button. That sounds slick to me. But it seems to me as such a huge opportunity to do it wrong. But if any company could probably do it right, I would think it's Apple, especially since they bought a pretty good company at doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe we'd see an iPhone 5S. Maybe I think it would be Apple playing it safe. I think Apple is more aware of the criticism than people give them credit for. You saw that when they were on stage during WWDC. And they were introducing the new Mac Pro, and they said, can't innovate my ass, because they're very acutely aware of what people are saying about them. And I think Phil Schiller could be up on stage again this time and saying, you thought we were going to the iPhone S? Boom, iPhone 6. We got the iPhone 5C if you want a low-cost color edition. Here's the 6, all-new design, fingerprint reader, a built-in blah, 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 blah.
See, I feel that the fingerprint reader is going to be gimmicky, like with the Nexus and the... where it takes a picture of your face and that's how you unlock your phone.
Right.
Well, I feel like it's going to be gimmicky. It won't work half the time.
So the Nexus face camera recognitions, that feature is driven by Google just wanting to build their face recognition database. It's like, the same reason why they have Google Voice. That's the primary driver of that feature. That's why it's hokey, because it is a gimmick. But if you actually had fingerprint authentication built into the operating system that was actually done really well, and I mean, this would have to be done like you just touch it and it works, right?
Yeah.
But then every purchase you make in the App Store, you touch it, it automatically authenticates, no more entering the password. What's the biggest pain in the ass thing to do on a mobile device is having a really good, complex, long password, because you got to type it in on that keyboard.
Right.
If Apple could some sort of like have an encrypted database where you store passwords in there, and then when you tap that button, it activates and says, okay, it's this app with you have this password assigned. I will automatically paste it into the password field for you and log you in. That would be awesome. But if I could just make purchases by touching a button and authorizing it and logging into my phone, maybe you could do authentication to iCloud, authentication to Mavericks through that fingerprint. What if they made it like you set it down on your desk, you have Bluetooth pairing to your Mac, and then you can log into your Mac by touching that login button? That'd be pretty sweet.
See, my worry, Chris, on that is if the fingerprint reader doesn't work as well as advertised. Like, wow, look how quick and simple and easy this is. You just gently touch your thumb to it, and it works perfectly. Like, how Apple loves to spin some things.
Right.
But
like Siri works amazing.
Right. But in reality, you're holding your thumb there, and it's like, can't read it, can't read it, can't read it, can't read it.
That would be the critical flop, wouldn't it? Because you can't have iOS with Siri that kind of works, but you're never really quite sure. And maps that work pretty good, but they're not quite as good as Google Maps. And if you added fingerprint reading that works pretty good, but it's not quite 100%, you'd have some major tiers to the iOS platform that are kind of hokey.
Yeah.
So they'd really have to make sure they nail it. It'd be a big gamble on their part. And the only reason why I think they might be able to pull it off is because they could probably have exclusive access to some very particular types of imaging sensors that are coming out right now.
Right.
Plus, they've bought a company whose their entire business was doing fingerprint reading. They really is what they're good at. And we've seen that kind of investment pay out when they bought a silicon company. Now they make some of the best mobile processors in the industry. So if they took that same sort of lesson learned from mobile processors and applied it to fingerprint reading, they could do it. I agree with you though. I would be, if I was going to be a betting man, I'd bet it's not actually all that great of an implementation, just because still the processing and imaging technology isn't there.
That'd really suck to lose your thumb in an industrial accident, not be able to unlock your phone. I can't call 911.
You've gone to Frozen, John.
Nice.
You've
Yeah.
gone.
Nice.
That's never happened before. I'll take a look at that.
Nice.
But then again, you don't say much anyway. So,
You got me for the 9. I'm going.
No.
He's very stoked.
He's
Just Chase, you just need to record Ducky on your soundboard and then use that still. And whenever
I'm
you
getting
wanted
that
to
for
say
my
something, you
soundboard.
cut over to it. And yeah.
I have so many versions of that, though. That's the best part. Joe, and then we'll ask Chris, you do the same thing, and then John, I'll fix your camera during the process. Joe, what is the next? Oh, and one more thing. You know how Apple always does that. Hey, and one more thing. Do you think there's going to be a one more thing? And if there is, what do you think that's going to be?
That's a hard one. Since Steve left and died, there hasn't really been the same secretive thing. It hasn't. They haven't been able to keep as many secrets as when he was around. It does sort of make sense for them to introduce something like that on the iPhone or on mobile devices.
Yeah, they're gonna Sherlock 1Password.
Yeah, or LastPass. Yeah, I mean, they can do a lot with that if they do it right. And already, iCloud is I think is actually really, really impressive the way it works. And if they combine that with the keychain storage, I think it's great. I love the fact that I can work on a document on my iPad, pick it up on my MacBook.
Companies right now that are really focusing on the camera, HTC does a pretty good job with the One, but it's still not as good as the iPhone 5. And if the iPhone 5S or 6 came along and they're like, boom, here's the information about the camera, it's this, this, and this, some people might just make the purchase based on the camera alone, don't you think? Do you have any thoughts on what the camera might be?
Well, there's two sides of whenever you do an upgraded camera in a mobile device. One is, do they market it as, look, we have a 13 quintillion pixel camera and it's amazing and fantastic and you can take these amazing photos, but the thing is still the size of a pinhead.
Yeah.
Do you do that, or do you go with higher quality glass or figure out some new tech to do the glass? With iPhone 5 they introduced the
Sapphire,
the ruby lens or sapphire lens. Yeah. So, that's sort of the thing. It looks like from the leaked case photos, they're at least going with the dual LED flash, which is going to be an improvement. And then they'll have some software updates. I think a lot of what people want with the camera, they can do in software. They don't necessarily have to do a whole new camera to do it.
Photos show for screen size?
Exactly the same form factor as the iPhone 5. So that's why most people are saying
if that happens.
Well, that's why most people are saying it's going to be a 5S as the straight line product, but it'll probably have, like I said, the dual flash LED. It might have an upgraded camera. It'll probably have an upgraded FaceTime camera. Who knows if it'll be upgraded from the 5S because the 5 has a decent FaceTime.
I don't know. Don't you think the tech press will eat them alive if they don't have a larger screen?
Well, not at this point, because honestly, for me, having the 4-inch screen on the 5 is as big as I want. I don't want a bigger, if I wanted a Galaxy 4 screen that I could double as an iPad mini, I'd be interested. But as it is, that's not. I would rather have something I can conveniently use with one hand than something that makes me feel better about what's in my pants.
They just need to make the glass go end to end.
I would agree with that. Edge-to-edge glass, I think, would be fantastic. And I'm sure they're working on it. And that, I think, is something we have to look forward to. But at least with this model, I don't think it's very likely.
If they just do an iPhone 5S, same screen size, better camera, do LED flash, iOS 7, maybe a fingerprint reader, they are going to get crucified.
I don't know. iOS 7 is a pretty big upgrade by itself. Developers have been using it for a while, and they've all said that it's fantastic. I've talked about it in the past. I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, that's still not enough. And the thing is, it's probably going to have some battery issues.
The other side of this, though, is ignoring the 5, looking at what it conceivably is being called the 4C, or the low-cost iPhone.
Yeah.
It would be multiple colors on the back, just like the Moto X's, which is what a lot of people are saying Apple has to overcome, is not the high-end phones. They don't have to fight the Galaxy 4S. They don't have to fight for that market. The majority of the market is in low-end phones, in level device, screen, everything that the iPhone 5 has right now, maybe a slightly lower processor for basically, like $200. A full phone price of like $300 or $400.
If they came in with that, they could offer something cheap at that price. That really anything you bought that was Android at that price would be pretty crummy. Like the thing about Android devices is you kind of have to buy into the higher tier to get a good one.
Right. Yeah, you can get a free Android device, but it's going to be running Android OS from 4 years ago, and it's going to have no storage, and it's going to be, it's just going to be the ultimate piece of garbage smartphone. But it'll still be a smartphone. Or you can get this, which is basically last year's iPhone.
I just think that people are sort of the tide has turned PR-wise against Apple. I don't know who maybe it's Google now. People are sort of the thing everybody's excited about. But I think that if they don't offer maybe like an iPhone 6 and an iPhone 5S or something, because I see what you're saying. There is a point where it gets too big. Like I just got rid of my Note 2 today, because I just decided, the Note 2 is just too big. It's not practical. And I switched to an HTC One, and even this is a little too big, right? When I heard that the Moto X had roughly the same screen size, but was more edge-to-edge glass, slightly smaller, that would be perfect. I do like having the additional real estate. Like for reading websites and stuff, it is nice. But I don't know.
Yeah, I like I said, a bigger screen is okay, but for me, it's all about being able to navigate the phone with one finger. I can reach virtually the entire screen just by holding it normally as I would any other device. And if it gets much bigger than this, we're going to have to grow longer thumbs in order to do it. But that's just my opinion, though. I think that we're talking about high-end devices. We're talking about the One and the S4 and the really high-end smartphones. When the vast majority of the market, you think about family and friends and people who are not following tech, people who aren't into it, they're buying Moto X's. They're buying cheap phones. They're not buying the top-of-the-line best phone on the market today.
A lot of them are getting the iPhone 4 or the 4S. A lot of, that's
right,
if you look
because
at
they can get a 4S. They can get a 4S for $100, and they can tell all their friends they have an iPhone.
Yeah, if you look at what iPhone models are selling, it's actually the older models that are selling the best.
Yeah,
because of the price.
So it makes sense to come out with it to be a bigger impact, at least on the bottom line, to be bigger for their stockholders like me. It makes sense for them to come out with a phone that'll replace the 4S, that'll give them a little bit better profit, and sell them more phones. So,
yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
I don't know if you guys heard, but ICANN. And by the way, John, do you know what ICANN stands for? Do you know what ICANN stands for, John? John? ICANN.
ICANN. I should know what it is. I've seen it.
It stands for the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers.
Yes.
How about
committee,
Aaron?
Chase. Internet committee.
No.
Actually, the thing he's reading does say corporation, but
it's. Yeah. Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, on Google it says committee, but on Wikipedia it says corporation.
Does it matter?
On their website, icann.org, it is corporation.
I know. Yeah.
Or anyway, ICANN officially said no to Google. Google wanted to introduce something called Dotless Domain Names. So somebody could type in search, http://search, and it would take them to Google. However, they said, no. You guys think this is a good idea, John? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you could just type in big head and it would go right to Eve Online or something?
It'd be a picture of me from here with this permanently zoomed in.
Jay Huckabee in the chat room says it's AOL keywords all over again.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, they've already done this, right, with the personalized TLDs that they were trying a couple years ago, or when they were talking about doing those.
Yeah, some of them came out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not quite search as being a TLD, but they're getting close. I mean, I don't know. I understand why Google wants it. I understand why a lot of companies would want it. I also know why it would not necessarily be good for everyone else.
True.
In fact, wait, scratch that. It would be bad for everyone else.
Just like you can go to Apple. just HTTP Apple.
Yeah, right. You
Apple.com.
could just type in
Yeah,
Apple.
you know what though? No, it would. So
Keyword
like I said,
Apple.
it would be good for corporations. Microsoft would love it. Apple would love it. Xerox would love it. All the companies out there that have a web presence
and have a
except
lot of
for the
money to
ones
pay
like-
for it.
Right, yeah, and have tons of money to play for it, would love it, except for, when it came to something like search, where Microsoft would say, well, Bing should have it, and Google would say, no, Google should have it, and Yahoo will say, hello, everybody. But for everybody else, for me, for you, for every average user out there on the internet, why? We're used to .com.
Well, here's my question. Doesn't every browser, if you just type into the URL, if you don't put a full address in the URL bar, it just all uses Google anyways? So,
Yeah.
they've already
Not
won.
always.
It depends what the browser.
A few browsers will default now to Bing, and a few browsers don't have the integrated search bar where it's a unified bar that does URLs and search queries.
That is a browser you should not be using.
Well, that's Firefox.
Oh, Firefox will do it. Firefox will do it.
Firefox
the
will
Fox.
search in the address bar, but it's not officially a unified search engine. I
So
like Firefox too, but it's not a unified search.
If I'm in Chrome and if I type search, Google
Yeah.
searches, the first result is Yahoo.
That's funny.
When I type search in Chrome, the first result is Yahoo. That's awesome. Then I get Bing results. So, wow, that is a weird circle.
For me, my preference would be every browser needs to support Control or Command K to take you to search automatically to a default Google search or Bing search or whatever your preferred browser is. That's how I always go to searches.
What do you guys think of DuckDuckGo? Have anybody tried that? Anybody using that?
Haven't used it at all.
It's
No.
not bad. It's got some neat features, but it's all that privacy.
Can you explain what DuckDuckGo is all about?
It's
What is it?
it's Google search. It's like it's web searches. But it actually pulls from multiple sources, and their whole thing is no records. You search them anonymously, and they're tying in now like some news search for current events, Wikipedia stuff. Their whole thing is no tracking at all, and they don't keep records. So if they get subpoenaed, they don't have them. And a lot of browsers on Linux are integrating it as the default search engine. And of course, they have the plugins, so you can use DuckDuckGo on every web browser. It's pretty good. Like if I search for Geek Gamer TV on DuckDuckGo, first result is actually your Twitch page, but then your Ustream page, then your podcast. So it's just
It's I love it's anonymous, totally run by the NSA.
probably. It's just nice to give Google a little competition, though.
What
It's pretty good,
What-
actually. It does
what's
pretty good for you, Chase.
After we talked about that the other couple weeks ago about the Android stuff getting that thing.
Yeah.
I've been hounded and I've refrained from doing it. There's an update for my voicemail, but you have to go.
Yeah, but that's not your real voicemail program.
I know. It's like they're saying, well, how do they get that on? I was like, is that how they did it? They convinced everybody.
Wait a minute. What if that? So let me back up for a minute here, you guys. So a few weeks ago, John was like, "How do I? I'm trying to check my voicemail on his Android phone. He's got an Evo 4G from Sprint.
Yeah.
This is not the LTE 4G. This is WiMAX 4G. Actually, Chris
same
Fisher
phone right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So John was. By the way, you could just hold it up right in front of your face. It's really zoomed in, John. Yeah, look how zoomed in that is. So John was trying to check his email, and I looked at his phone, and he got this third-party voicemail program on his phone.
Sprint probably shipped with it.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
That did.
Right. And John wanted to get rid of it and just use native any.
Got to root it.
He's got to root it. Well, now it's prompting him for an update. So maybe it is,
See,
John.
this update comes through, except for that update is not. If you go into settings and you check for program updates and firmware updates, it's fine. If you go to the Google Play Store, it's that program is not listed in there.
So John,
I keep getting these messages, not quite text messages, but these pop-up messages saying, "Hey, we got a new version out. Please update." And I'm thinking,
it's the worst. This is the worst. This is a huge problem.
So John, what do you want to root your phone?
Yeah. So is that how the NSA got people with or Sprint Android
well,
phones?
that's why they're listening to you. They got
The
your
good
tablet.
news is the Evo is actually really, there's a lot of people making ROMs for it and stuff. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then you can get a little manager in the Play Store. It works pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you're going to be on Gingerbread.
And actually,
You're gonna
when
be on
I
hold.
rooted and replaced the ROM on my Evo, I'm not exaggerating at all. I got double the battery life.
John, When do you want to make that happen?
I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah, you're going to give it to me and make it happen.
Not you. Chris.
Oh, why? I can do it.
Because Chris has one of these.
I wonder
just
if,
me.
and I don't know, maybe they've already officially pushed out the gingerbread. I can't remember. It was like at the time I rooted, they didn't have that OS out for the phone officially yet. And when I put it on there, it ran. I mean, it was a huge improvement. But I think that Evo, I think that voicemail thing, that's part of the built-in ROM because I had it too on mine, and mine's a Sprint one.
Well, it's time to test your gaming knowledge, Mr. Chris Fisher. We're going to move on now to some gaming topics, so get your gaming cred on. First off, this story I know Mr. Joseph Falby is going to be very, very excited about, and that is Microsoft is finally closing the book on games for Windows slowly. One of those things that they are closing the book on is the marketplace. So you will not be able to buy games through the Games for Windows Live Marketplace as of August 22nd because of the recent Xbox 360 update. Microsoft points are being retired, and the PC marketplaces uses points. So they, since they're going to be changing from points to actual currency, dollars and cents, if you have points in your account, you want to start using them now. You have until August 22nd.
I mean, I have to turn my Xbox on?
No. This is for Games for Windows PC players. Okay. Now, if you're on the console, no worries, John, because your points will be converted at par or rounded up accordingly to the next whole cent, I guess. Yes, Joe.
Well, what if you have it on both?
What do you mean?
Well, Microsoft points, when you associate them with your Microsoft Xbox Windows Live whatever account,
then you're fine.
Is on both.
Then you're fine. Because
right. So if I have points outstanding on Windows Live, they will transfer over to the Xbox account
because
I desire to use them at some point.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're fine. But if you're PC only, if
you lose the money you gave Microsoft,
you don't lose them. You just
you don't have an Xbox.
Here's the thing:
forced to
you
get
can't
games from Windows Live.
You can't buy games from Xbox. So you have points, but let's say you have some games that you're playing, say like Grand Theft Auto, and you want to do some in-game DLC, and you could still purchase that stuff, but you can't purchase games. Games for Windows Live Marketplace is going away. That marketplace is gone.
But you buy the DLC for GTA, most of it. I mean, if you bought the game initially through Games for Windows Live,
right? Yeah.
Let's say you were crazy enough to do that. When you buy DLC, you're also buying it through Games for Windows Live Marketplace,
right?
Which means any new DLC that comes out for that title, or any DLC that you haven't purchased at this point, you won't be able to buy.
Well, DLC, I did some digging into this, and if pick another game that has DLC that uses Games for Windows Live, I'm not sure, but say game A has
Batman, what you call it?
Batman Arkham Asylum?
Either one of the new, or no, not Arkham. I think Arkham Asylum doesn't, but the old one did.
Okay.
Or Arkham Asylum did, but not Arkham City.
Yeah. So basically, you'll still be able to buy DLC through like the in-game interfaces and that sort of thing. Just the marketplace is going away. So you won't be able to buy games. You won't be able to buy like whole games using Microsoft points. That marketplace is shutting down.
Okay, but you'll be able to buy DLC with Microsoft points that don't matter for anything anymore because they moved to real currency.
Right. Well, if through the PC. So if you're still, I know this is confusing, but essentially,
so they're getting rid of Microsoft points that you can no longer use to buy games.
Well, the marketplace is
the
going
Xbox over to right. The marketplace is going away, which used Microsoft points.
Right.
Rather than converting it over to use dollars.
Right.
They're going to force everyone who was bought a game mistakenly using that tech.
Mistakenly?
There were a number of games that were on Steam that used it, that they didn't talk about it until after you bought it.
You're talking about using the Games for Windows Live service, which is different from the marketplace. Right. I want to be very clear here. That service is not going away.
A lot of them use DLC that you bought through Steam had to activate on the marketplace. Because they had to associate the DLC with your Games for Windows Live account. Anyway, it's all frustrating. Microsoft made the biggest mistake they could have possibly made by introducing this thing. Nobody wanted it. Nobody likes it. Everybody wants it to go away, and Microsoft can't actually get rid of it because they don't really have the tools to remove it from games.
I wouldn't say everybody. It doesn't bother me all too much, to be honest with you. It doesn't. I like having the achievements. I like having a simple interface to see all my friends are. You know, it's like
would you
Steam in a way.
rather have games for Windows Live or Steam built-in interface on your game?
I'd like Steam, sure.
Okay.
And by the way, the Steam interface does work just fine in those games for Windows Live games that I purchased on Steam.
Right, but the games that required games for Windows Live, GTA is a great example of this.
Yeah.
If I use a patch or if I want to remove that, that's fine.
Right.
But I also lose all multiplayer because multiplayer required games for Windows Live. If they had not made it games for Windows Live built in,
right,
and either gone through Steam multiplayer or some other built-in multiplayer, something like that, not relied on Microsoft's poorly written software, we would be able to still play those games online without games for Windows Live. And Microsoft is pulling the plug on the marketplace today, or on the 22nd. They're going to pull the plug on the rest of it someday soon because it's not a moneymaker.
Well, if they pull,
and when they do that, are we still going to be able to do matchmaking on those games from Windows Live?
Right.
Games?
Well,
I think so too. I agree with Joe, and I think what this showed us from the very beginning, the minute I saw this, and I don't buy a lot of Windows PC games, but I bought the new BioShock game, and I'm pretty sure it was either this one or the last. No, it was the last one. It wasn't the Infinite.
Yeah.
And
BioShock
it was
1
loaded.
used games for Windows Live.
It was loaded with Windows Live crap, and I had to spend all this time installing updates, loading all this junk on my machine just so I could play the game. And the entire time I was sitting there waiting for all this Microsoft junk to load. I knew from the very beginning, oh, this is a 2-year thing. This is just one more thing that Microsoft's junking up my system with that they're going to bail on because they won't get any traction. And just watching it load as that progress bar went across, I knew this day was coming. And it's once again shows us why Microsoft builds up these crap infrastructures. It doesn't take off. And for some reason, even though I have 50,000 employees, they don't properly put the right amount of people on a project, so they wither away and die. And then we as gamers just have to sit here and deal with their crap whenever they have some sort of mood. And because they're a billion-dollar gorilla, they just have to push the industry in any direction that they want us to adopt. I was frustrated with they did it. I'm glad to see it die. I'd like to see the whole thing shut down.
But if the whole thing shuts down, then you got to have some alternative. You got to have a solution in place.
I would prefer to see the market pick that up.
Go ahead now.
What? Go
Batman?
ahead.
Sorry.
What, Joe?
No, I agree with you guys. This whole thing is a mistake. I don't know. What is the next big thing? If they're ditching games for Windows Live, so they're ditching games for Windows Live on Windows, which is good. We all agree. They're gonna kill the service off entirely eventually, because that's what they're going to do.
That's, again, that is speculation. There's no signs of that occurring at all. There's no announcement saying that they're going to kill games for Windows Live.
As you said at the very beginning, they're slowly getting rid of these things. They're getting rid of the marketplace first because that doesn't coincide with what they want to do. They're going to have to get rid of the back end eventually because, look, how long do they support a title on console that is a couple years old that they don't really want to support anymore?
Well, I mean, Grand Theft Auto's been out for how long? Since what? Grand Theft 4 since what? 2011?
Right, but
2010?
How long after GTA 5 comes out will they stop supporting GTA 4?
Well, right now we don't have a PC
how
release,
long
so
after
we don't know.
One of the but how long after one of the yearly sports games that comes out do they stop supporting the old version?
Well, that's not Microsoft. That's not Microsoft starting the support. That's EA. That's a whole nother argument.
Uh-huh.
This is not Microsoft saying, "Oh, we're ceasing supporting of the game because it's a year later." So that's a
when
different
the games
argument.
stop supporting when Rockstar calls up Microsoft and says, "Hey, yo, we need to stop supporting multiplayer on PC with games for Windows Live because nobody uses it." That's Rockstar's fault or Microsoft's fault?
Well, if Rockstar's calling up Microsoft to say stop supporting it, wouldn't that be Rockstar's fault?
Well, depends on
wouldn't
who
it
initiated
be? I mean,
it, right?
well, yeah. I mean, who's picking up the phone?
But I don't know. It's a crappy situation to be in.
Yeah.
All of these games, I seriously don't. If they had made it really clear what games included and which games didn't include it when I bought the games on Steam, because that's where I like to buy games because they don't have this crap, I would never have picked up a Games for Windows Live title.
So
At least never paid for one.
So tell me what makes Origin different.
What do you mean? What makes Origin different?
Well, I mean, you've bought games on Origin.
I've never given money to Origin. Oh no, wait, I did. I did for one game.
Okay,
my mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That was Battlefield 3 because someone guilted me into buying it.
But so you won't buy games on Origin either, using that same argument?
No, I haven't.
Only Steam.
Like I said, I've bought games on Steam. I have obviously a huge library on Steam, but I haven't bought games on Origin. I would rather not buy. I've never bought a game through Games for Windows Live Marketplace.
Neither have I. That's probably why they're shutting it down, because sales through the marketplace in itself are probably low or non-existent.
Well, and the service is terrible. I mean, it seemed like every other time I loaded up a game that used it, it would say, hey, there's been an update. And before you can save your game, we have to apply this update. I mean, that was probably the worst thing about Games for Windows Live. Isn't the fact that it was there. If it was there and non-obtrusive and it automatically logged me in or allowed me to log in or gave me the option of logging in and seeing how friends were doing and stuff like that, I would have no problem with it. But the moment they said the only way to save your single-player offline game is by logging into Games for Windows Live, no, that's wrong.
See, I don't know why. I don't have this negativity toward it. And I never have. I don't understand.
I've always felt like it was very spammy. Like it was always very in my face, first of all. And I think part of it is I also always felt like they were going to pull the plug on it. So I'm a little bitter because going into it, I felt forced because I didn't know. So I guess I should back up and say, if I knew I was going to have to do all of that, I wouldn't have bought the game. So that I kind of felt like I got suckered. Like, well, I spent the $60. I've spent 35 minutes installing it on my PC. So now I might as well spend another 25 minutes doing this because I've already invested all this time. But for example, if something's only available from the Origin store, to me, I have enough in my life that keeps me occupied that I don't need a game bad enough where I can make the moral decision to say, you know what, not going to do it. So I've never bought from the Origin store. I never will. I'm just going to wait till they shut it down, which they probably will years from now. And I wouldn't have bought BioShock had I known they had it loaded up with this Microsoft crap, which is just Microsoft trying to spin up another side business, which was inevitably going to fail for them. And I think that's where some of the source of my hostility comes from. Was I felt intruded upon my gaming experience.
Right. I don't really have a great counter argument to that. The thing is, I never bought my games through their marketplace. So them shutting down the marketplace doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
The whole system never, well, so far it's not being shut down. The whole match play system's not going away.
I would zoom out, Chase. I think what kind of makes me nervous is we are totally transitioning to this system where we are completely dependent on Google and Microsoft and Valve and Origin to allow me to have access to the things that I've paid for. Where even just 5 years ago, 10 years ago especially, like I had a little suitcase of DVD and CDs that I would bring with me to LAN parties, and all of the games I owned completely and wholly were in that suitcase. And I could just put them in a CD-ROM drive, and I'd have access to them at any time. When these types of things start to shut down, it makes me nervous to rely on the cloud. Because the cloud can just all of a sudden go away. And I feel like if you're a certain company of a certain size, if you decide to launch a service around this type of business, it becomes your obligation to keep that service running for as long as you can possibly do it, because you are committing to that customer.
Or at least allow that customer, in case that service is shutting down, A, give them fair warning, and B, give them ability. Say, for example, an authentication service is going away. I don't know, give the authentication keys or give a software package that unlocks that game so it will work offline on your system and you could back it up. Have alternatives in place, basically. Have different ways of doing it. I mean, the part that obviously, Joe and I and John and even you, Chris, a lot of us have our games in Steam. And now we like Steam, but the same thing could happen there.
Mm-hmm. The difference is it's not a side business for Valve.
Right.
That's their whole business, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this was a group of people at Microsoft that was probably anywhere between 3 to 10 people, probably had 7 or 8 managers to keep that group on track. And then eventually one day they decided to restructure.
Right.
Whereas that's not going to happen at Valve.
Yeah. Well, we don't think it's going to happen.
True.
I mean, I
See, the
mean,
nice thing about Steam too is there is that local installation version you can get, and they have an unlock key, so they could theoretically be like, "Okay, here's the unlock key. Download your copy, save it locally."
right.
They kind of have facilities built in for that if they chose to use it.
And it looks, unfortunately, the NSA is treading upon us. We've lost Mr. Joe Falvey. We'll try to get Joe back here. Maybe they've prismed in on his connection, and yeah, it's unfortunate. It's too
Maybe
bad.
they were worried that he was going to say something about the Xbox One Kinect monitoring him. Maybe they were preemptively striking.
Well, the Xbox One now won't require that. I don't know if you guys heard about this. I'm very excited to announce that the Xbox One will not require the Kinect. This came from Mark Whitten, Xbox corporate vice president. He basically said that it won't require it to be plugged in at all. Actually, I mean, it will come with it when you buy it, of course, but you won't even need to plug it in to utilize it, to utilize the console at all. So is this another, what do you think, Chris? Is this another, I don't know, would you call it a mistake, if you will, of Microsoft maybe not explaining it correctly, how the Kinect works?
Yeah,
Or,
I did kind of.
Yeah.
So I talked about it a little while ago. We did an episode of Coder Radio that was basically said Microsoft's in a funk was the title of it, and it was shortly after their announcement. I just said, "Wow, Microsoft just totally missed the mark." They talked about TV and movies. They didn't talk about video games. The Kinect One being required is an absolute mistake. Kind of went down through all of this stuff, and I think now what we've seen is that yes, they were sort of alarmingly tone deaf to their core audience, which is sort of a bad sign. But what we do see here is also the ability to pivot and respond to feedback. And I think not requiring it, but including it, what that does is that makes Microsoft have to compete on a features level to compel me to plug it in. And I think
Right.
that's the way to that's the way to make it a successful product, right? Don't force me to use it, make me want to use it. And hopefully that's
and
a
give
good
me the
change.
option to hook it up. Yeah, if I don't want to, I don't have to.
And if I want to be a little creeped out for an evening, I'll unplug it. Right?
Yeah, if I want to do some video conferencing on Skype, from my living room and not wear pants, I could do that.
And if you want to watch a porno and you don't want Kinect to know how many people are in the room watching a porno with you, you could unplug it,
That's
which is
right.
nice.
Now, Joe, you're one of the biggest opponents. Oh, no, I didn't mean not biggest. Biggest opponents. Joe.
Fail.
You didn't like the fact that the Xbox One was going to require Kinect. That was one of your key points, and now that's going away. That key point has gone away. So, Joe,
I can't hear a thing.
oh, you can't hear a thing? Oh, I have to reconnect to him.
Sorry, Joe.
Wow.
That is not on IRC anymore.
I was definitely one of the biggest complainers about this. And I still don't know if I know, Chase, I know you have pre-ordered your Xbone, but I don't feel like I have a reason to pre-order. What's the game I want? I don't.
Well,
I go back to that I'm the old school kind of guy where I bought the console once. Like,
what's
you
the
know,
launch?
Metroid
What's the big launch title that will make you get it?
Like when you pre-ordered it, you're like, man, I can't wait to open the box and put in what?
I don't know. I want better graphics. I want better gameplay. I want the better controller. But
Okay,
is there a game
couldn't
screaming at me that I need to pick it up? Probably the next Forza. Probably
Why not
Madden.
Why not hook your PC up to your television, get as good of, if not better, resolution right now, and play that way?
Right. Joe,
I mean,
can you hear us
Steam's
yet?
going-
By the way.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like you're talking about next-gen consoles.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the big person that said, well, I'm not. John, stop it over there. You were saying, well, Xbox One, this is Microsoft, requiring Kinect. I can't believe this. Now they won't. Nope.
Yeah.
Kinect's not required. It'll come with it, and you can hook it up if
Allegedly,
you want.
yeah.
What do you mean, allegedly?
Yeah.
This is not alleged.
Well,
This
they
is-
say it, but it hasn't shipped yet. So, like I said, I don't believe anything until products in hand. I don't know. It's not going to change my opinion. Really, I'm still not going to buy it.
Well, I know that, but
I'm not going to buy a PS4 either.
one of your
I haven't
points.
bought a Wii U yet.
You will buy a Wii U. You will.
I haven't.
You will. You have a Virtual Boy behind me, so behind you. So
I do have a Virtual Boy, yes,
you got that.
and a 3DS.
Yeah.
And a current gen or an old gen Wii now. Yeah.
Yep. So you're going to get a Wii U.
And 64 out on the porch.
You'll get a Wii U. Yeah. It's just a matter of
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to get a PS4. I don't think I'm going to get an Xbox One. And the reasons for it, you sort of alluded to that. There's no killer game for me on any platform. The killer game for PS3 was Gran Turismo. That was the killer game for me on PS3. But even though there's going to be a Gran Turismo on PS4, it's not the one-of-a-kind game it used to be. It used to be if you wanted a customizable, upgrading, all that sort of gameplay racing game, that was where you had to go.
Right.
There was GT. That was it. And now there's really not. And it's easy to say, well, there's Forza on Xbox. Well, there is Forza on Xbox, but there's also a lot of other car games out there that do the same thing now. That's sort of become a standard aspect for any racing game.
iRacing's really good on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't think there's a killer platform game anymore out there. And somebody's going to say, oh, well, the next Halo game. And it's like, yeah, because I'm going to play it more than I played the last four that I also never played.
Let me ask you this, Joe, because this is what I was thinking is like, if none of these titles yet, I mean, maybe Sony or Microsoft has one more big announcement about, here's the big game. What if it's like, one of these next generation consoles has like the best indie game platform, and we see like some of the coolest like Braid 2.0 type games that come out, or everybody's talking about them, and the console you need to get maybe is the one that has the best indie market at launch.
I understand what you're saying, and I totally could see that never happening.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and the reason for it is the cheapest platform to develop for is still Windows or desktop PC, whether it's Windows or Linux. That's still the cheapest and easiest platform to get into. You don't have to buy, Microsoft makes a big point of saying every Xbox One is a dev console.
Right. For
$100. Every copy of Windows is a dev console.
Yeah.
For the cost of Windows.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no benefit to doing development on a console when you can do it just as well on a standard desktop platform.
And then distribute via Steam, right?
Not necessarily via Steam, but I mean,
whatever.
Distribute. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many different ways to distribute on PC. You're not locked into just distributing through Microsoft, distributing through Sony.
It's kind of like, I'm like, why pre-order a PS4 or an Xbone when maybe it's just time to take a PC, hook it up to the TV, and turn on Steam Big Picture mode? Right. Especially since you're going to you can use an Xbox like I have. I finally broke down and picked up one of the cheap. Oh, this is a full Xbox controller I've had for a while, but my Xbox over there isn't plugged in.
So you have a dongle. You got that wireless dongle?
I have the receiver. Yeah, I have the receiver for my PC, so I can use that if I want to in a game. But more often than not, I start with that, and I'm like, yeah, this is really good. And I put that down, and say, I'll give mouse and keyboard a try real quick. And I play with mouse and keyboard, and I'm like, why did I even try the controller?
Yeah, me too. Me too, but Steam is making a big emphasis on controller-supported games. Like, they have like this whole section now in Steam for controller-supported games, especially when you go into big picture mode. So like they're trying to push people in that direction. Plus, when they release the Steam box,
you know what
I'm
want?
With you.
Are they going to release? Is that going to happen? The Steam box?
I mean, allegedly.
Here's some more alleged news for you.
Who knows?
They
allegedly, but
yeah.
But it, you know what though? It doesn't matter. The possibility. So big picture mode is enough of just build a home theater PC and use that.
Can you make? See, here's what I want to see. Once the Xbox One comes out, once the PS4 comes out, we're going to see a system that you could buy, Steambox or maybe some other party that's going to sell a $400 system, a PC that will hook up in your living room. Because I think part of the problem is, you can hook up most PCs in your living room, but I want a home theater style PC at that price point. I think that's key. It needs to be at $400 to $500. And the problem is, can you get there? The hardest part whenever you're building a system like that, because the next gen Intel procs with the integrated video is actually reasonable. It's not as good as a high end or enthusiast level discrete video card, but you can drive a 1080p display all day long with a $100 video card. That's no problem. The hardest part on any of this to build a system like that, because you can buy a cheap processor, you can buy a cheap motherboard, you can buy a cheap video card, you can get into a system like that. Exactly what you're saying for less than $400 easy on the hardware. Then you have to pay the Microsoft tax.
in order to run most of
Right.
the games because they have to run
Well,
on
now
Windows.
you can
And
do it with
Microsoft-
Steam and Linux, though. So you
right,
don't have to worry
for like,
about that.
For like 8 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game selection on Steam for Linux is not that good.
Yeah.
But for Windows, you're basically stuck buying a $150 copy of Windows in order to really do anything.
Right.
So that's where the biggest when I build PCs for work, that's oftentimes my single biggest cost is that Windows license.
Yeah.
Which
Wow,
is,
they
trust
are
me,
screwed
frustrating.
then. And I don't know.
Well-
I wonder if this round maybe we'll go to the PS4, and I think we're going to hear more from Sony. We know at Gamescom there's going to be a press conference, so potentially we'll hear about a big game. And if they get a big title, they might really have a good lead.
Yeah, we also might hear at Gamescom the actual release date, the precise release date. We already know when this is where it gets confusing. The Xbox One, we already know when it's coming out, but we do not have an exact date yet for the PS4. So we're probably going to find out what's going to happen at release, if it's going to be bundled with a game, an extra controller, 2 controllers, 4 controllers. All right, I'm joking. Extra controllers. Like the complete Nintendo pack where you got the robot, 2 controllers, the zapper, and everything else under the sun. Those days are over. But yeah, we'll find out for sure what day it's going to come out. Now, if you're still in the market for old systems, you can go down to Best Buy, or if you're in Canada, Future Shop, which is Best Buy. They're owned by the same company. You can now pre-order the 12-gigabyte SSD version of the PS3. So it's a 12-gigabyte drive. It's Blu-ray, of course, but it's an SSD drive. It's on board, and it will only run you $199. Or you can get a bundle, which comes with Uncharted 3 and Last of Us for $259.98.
Well, if you were one of the people who was tempted by Last of Us and really wanted to give that a try and didn't have a PS3, that seems like a really tempting bundle.
Yeah, and now the good thing is if you need more space, you can put external storage on like a little USB thumb drive, or you can put a 1 terabyte external drive on there, and that would work. Jayhawk, if he's quick to point out in the chat room, it's 12 gigs, not including the OS software, which brings it down to probably 2. I'm kidding. That you could use, but John,
maybe 8 to 10.
Yeah, John, this is a great entry point for you, so you can play Dust.
Yeah,
yeah. No, you're
waiting.
waiting.
You can play with yourself on Eve too.
Thanks, Joe.
What? No, he could be playing on Dust and then play on Eve at the same time and call in his own airstrike. That's
yeah.
No.
Yeah. That do people actually do that?
Yes.
Why not?
I'm calling it my own airstrike.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, if you have an Eve account, you have a PS3, you pick up a copy of Dust, and you just hang out over the planet you're on and call in your own airstrike whenever you want one.
Yeah, except for it's not quite that easy.
Well,
all right.
Still yet.
Yeah.
It's easier than calling in an airstrike in a game that doesn't have that sort of capability.
Fair enough. Wow, look at the time. No, seriously.
And that's a wrap.
No, it is a wrap. I'm actually cutting out our picks this
Good
week.
night, everybody.
No.
Yeah, because we've gone too long.
I actually.
Oh my goodness. It's
yeah.
because we spent so much time troubleshooting John's camera.
No.
it's-
It was the iPhone discussion that
Yeah,
went long.
you guys went.
Well, the only reason the iPhone discussion went as long as it was because you were fighting the camera.
Don't say that. You're not supposed to say that.
I knew we were stalling. I knew we were stalling when we were going into that. I knew that.
No, you're ruining the illusion of a seamless show.
That 20 minute segment where you and John said nothing.
We were vamping. Vamping.
Well, even if I had something to say, I couldn't get an edge. You guys going back and forth.
Yeah, whatever, John. Shut up, John.
I finally have a good pick of the week, and
We'll save it for next week.
Oh.
You'll need it.
Okay, thanks.
By the way, just in a couple short weeks is PAX Prime 2013, or as they call it, just PAX 13. It's going to be at the Washington State Convention Center. It is sold out, but we will be there as media covering the great event, and we'll have some special guests joining us, and possibly one of those special guests that will be joining us will be this gentleman right here, Chris Fisher from Jupiter Broadcasting. You can follow him on Twitter at ChrisLAS. And you do you do internet type shows, right, Chris? I mean,
Pow.
you do stuff on the interwebs?
We did. In fact, just this afternoon, released a review of Elementary OS, a finely crafted Linux distribution that has been in the making since 2011, and they just hit 1.0. It's a Linux distribution a Mac user could love. Almost. We reviewed it.
They've been working on it since 2011?
Yeah.
So aren't they like 3 kernel versions behind now?
They managed to be fairly current, but it is a little bit older of a kernel. It's the same kernel that ships with Ubuntu 12.04. So the plus side is long-term support and good Steam support.
Another great show that happens over there on the Jupiter Broadcasting Network is Unfilter. And the latest episode is about Sanjay Gupta.
And he's just been making the headlines lately, Chase. He hasn't slowed down. That guy is still out there.
He's on a mission.
CNN is going to town.
He's on a mission. Well, I mean, they have to pull themselves up out of the ratings hole that they're in.
Right.
I mean, because remember, that's what it's all about. The numbers.
People are too busy watching geekgamer.tv.
Hey-o!
Just saying.
One of the co-hosts of the worldwide popular podcast, Minecraft Me, Joseph Falby. You can follow him on the Twitters, twitter.com/Falby. And if you're not following him, you really should, because when he tweets, it means something. Which is true. I mean, and the last time Joe tweeted was back on...
When was that?
August 9th.
Holy smokes.
And then there was 2, and this was the picture that he tweeted
that's right.
out.
Yeah, this of this.
Of that. Look,
yeah,
and this is
of that.
Look at that. That looks so cool.
Yeah. This and
I need an intervention, you guys.
This.
I think I've spent $35 on Plants vs. Zombies 2.
What?
This is no
Wait,
good.
you're
seriously?
Is that DLC?
Yeah.
35 bucks?
It's a free to play game.
Wait, I never spent
free
any
to-
money on that stuff.
Wow.
I know. And you know what the worst part is like once you authorize it once.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It remembers.
John Kessler, you can't follow him on Twitter. That's not really him, at VW Kenny.
No.
It's really him.
No, it's not.
Actually, you want to see what it looks like? I haven't been there in ages. I don't think I can even recover the password.
Has it been hacked or?
Oh no, that's not Twitch.tv. It's Twitter.tv. No, Twitter.com/VW Kenny.
What?
I'm trying to get to your Twitter page.
Mm-hmm.
There. I put a link in the IRC in case you can't.
All right,
figure
no, I got it. So here it is. Here it is, the fake John Kessler of Geek Gamer Weekly.
He just commented the 31st of June
of 2011.
Chase, could you click on that avatar picture? Could you zoom? Could you just click on that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow.
Nice.
Where was that picture even taken?
It was taking at I want to say Tugboat Annie's. It looks like. Is that Tugboat?
It's hard to tell. It might be.
Yeah,
it could be.
Yeah, nice.
I like the black and white picture. It's such a dramatic shot. Oh, John, you're so good. You're such a good friend. Hey, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter at Nunes, Nunes, and you can follow the network on Twitter at Geek Gamer TV. We do the show every Sunday evening, at least we try to, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern at live.geekgamer.tv. By the way, we have a Boxy app and a Roku app. The Roku app is currently in beta, so if you want a link, follow us on Twitter and just send me an @reply, and I'll give you the link. Because it's in beta, so I don't want it too far out there. But you can try it out.
Goldfinger. Oh, sorry, Chase.
But you can give that a try. You can watch the show live from your living room or get caught up on old episodes and specials. Really, it's something that I've been working on for a while. Special thanks to Jace Rossi as well. But yeah, self-published, my first ever programming.
Good job. Good work.
Hopefully it doesn't suck. It's in testing right now, so hopefully it gets by. Chris?
Nice, Joe.
No, that's Chris, actually.
It wasn't me. Yeah.
Yo, Chris, what are you doing?
Wow.
I was just enjoying a tasty beverage while you talk.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Our next live show will be Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, for some Minecraft Me action. But until then, everybody's going to have some tasty beverages. I'm going to get a tasty beverage. For Mr. John Kessler, Joseph Fulby, our special guest, Chris Fisher. My name is Chase Nunes. Until we all talk again, we're all silent. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Grace.
There's always a way to do this, but I can never come up with somebody.
There's always names to come up with.
There's always names to come up with?
There's always a name to come up with. Go.
What?
No.
Bette Midler?
They're done.
There you go. John Kessler. You know what? From this point forward, I'm just going to say John Kessler.
Okay.